He can project. Hi, guys. Guys, let's hear it for Jeremy Jordan, all right? Thank you all for coming to the Supergirl Jeremy Jordan panel here at South Coast Comic Con. My name is Clay. And Jeremy, how did you get started? You have a musical background like way back to high school, correct?
Yeah, man. I mean, I always like did little theater gigs. Gigs. They weren't gigs. I like did little community theater shows. When I was a kid. But sort of in high school, I started to like be a little more serious about it, and decided to just sort of take the risk and try to go to college for acting, and did that. And then I moved to New York, and a couple of years later, I started doing, chorus stuff on Broadway, and moved up to the lead, and then started doing TV, and a couple movies, and here I am.
Well, we are psyched for that. So how was that breaking in to actually get on Broadway? That must have been like...
How is it?
Yeah, I mean, like, how do you get there? What if somebody out there wants to do that? What do they need to do?
I mean, it's not particularly easy, Of course, you have to, work hard at whatever your craft is, whatever your talent is, and continue to push that farther forward. But aside from that, it's honestly just believing in yourself and not taking no for an answer, and learning to deal with rejection, because that's one of the parts that nobody ever tells you about. Because you get a lot more
of auditions, right?
A lot more no's than yeses. Yeah,
Yeah.
but then, it's just... my first show was a show called Rock of Ages, and it was a show that I should never have been in, because I'm not like a hard rock singer, but like I went to an open call and just went for it and booked it. It's just sort of a thing, like you kind of have to believe that you can do anything, and then you have a bigger sort of chance of actually succeeding in that.
And you mentioned Rock of Ages, so it wasn't... I'm sure there were a few shows under your belt before you got to Newsies, right?
Yeah, Newsies was my 4th show on Broadway, and final, sadly. That was in 2012.
I think you're asking for you to come back.
Almost 6 years. Yeah, no, listen, I'm anxious to come back to Broadway. I thought I was going to come back after I did Finding Neverland, which I did here in Boston, well, in Cambridge. And then they didn't hang on to me. But then I went to LA and booked Supergirl, so boo on them. Yeah. And then so I mean the sad thing is that I'm in Vancouver like 9.5 months out of the year, so there's not really enough time to do a show, like a proper show. So once this is over, that's probably the first stop I'll be making.
Yeah.
And we are all enjoying you as Win on Supergirl, right?
Yeah.
Crisis on Earth X, but let's go back.
Okay.
You've had your share of relationships on the show. Start from Kara.
Yeah.
Silver Banshee and Lyra. I'm sorry. What's
that? This is a Boston accent. That's what it is.
And I'm from like 5 minutes away from here, which makes the accent even worse.
There you go.
So what's Win's current status?
I don't really know. They kind of just like in season 3, they kind of just like forgot that I had a girlfriend. No, I think they were going to bring Laya back initially at the beginning of the season for a couple episodes, but the actress, Tamsin Merchant, who's amazing, was busy being a star and something else. But I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on right now. I feel like we should figure that out. I think we might figure it out pretty soon.
Okay.
It's still up in the air. So far, we're dealing with a lot of other stuff, but come about mid-season, after we come back from the break, we'll start to get a little bit more fun stuff happening with Win.
Fun stuff happening with Win. I mean, you
Yeah.
are the son of Toyman.
I am the son of yes, that's true.
And
that's not something that you want to like flaunt though. He's evil.
I thought maybe that you might take a turn.
You know, there are still chances that I think Win is a little bit nervous about what might sort of be born within him.
Your toy DNA.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he sort of deals with everything with a really big sense of humor, but I think that's because he doesn't really like to handle situations that are really deep. He doesn't know how to deal with that, so he just kind of finds a joke and moves on and shrugs it off and moves past it. But sooner or later, that sort of thing's going to catch up to you, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So I think we might eventually see all that stuff come to a head, which I think would be really exciting and really fun. But also at the same time, like I love playing the goofy comedy nerd fanboy kind of foil for everybody in the audience watching the show. You know, that's my favorite part. Is that like I'm kind of you guys watching the show, but I'm like actually in the show, just commenting on every awesome superhero thing that is happening as it's happening.
Well, that was great because Supergirl started out on another network, now it's on CW, and I noticed when it was season 1, you know, it was Win was very similar to Cisco, but
Sure.
but it wasn't an exact parallel. So I really like the role you've taken. As Guardian would call you, you're the man in the van.
Yeah, man, the man of the van. Yeah, I mean, it's you know, I don't think that we intentionally sort of draw parallels, but I mean, I think there are archetypes in superhero shows. You know, they drew it pretty well in the recent Spider-Man movie where he's like the guy in the chair, like
the guy in the chair, the guy in the van, yeah.
Like there's always that guy, so it's fun to be that guy and then find his sort of individuality within that archetype.
And as you said, you're very funny on the show. You get to crack jokes, and I want to know. You talked about shooting in Vancouver with Crisis on Earth X. Was one of the most amazing superhero things I've ever seen on TV or film. 4 hours of incredible work from all the shows, from Legends, Flash, Arrow, Supergirl. What was it like to team up with all of those other great actors that you don't work with every day?
You know, it was awesome. I mean, I only worked on a little tiny portion of it, so I mean, I just got like 2 days worth of it. They were working for almost a month shooting that thing. So, I mean, I felt bad because they were like shooting like a couple scenes on this show and then a couple of this, like they were just moving all day long every day. But for me, it was great. I mean, it was great to kind of like play like a different kind of version of my character. If you guys don't know, I've like played like a angry, very angry, like alternate universe Win. And I was sad though because they did cut a lot of stuff out. Like there was a whole section about when Alex is talking to me, trying to convince me to come over. She's saying, that Kara is your best friend, and they kept that part in. But what she doesn't say, what got left out was that on this Earth, James Guardian is also still my best friend, and he dies at the beginning of the crossover. And so there's this whole monologue about his best friend's dead. And like she can't bring him back and all this other stuff, so it got really dark. But I think they didn't want to make it too bad.
Well, hopefully, I mean, I want to see a lot of that cut stuff from Crisis because
yeah, man, there's so much cut stuff.
There must have been so much great stuff that they just had to. There just probably wasn't room for it.
I would say on average, like per episode, a Crisis Earth aside, like there's probably 8 minutes of the show that gets cut every week.
Wow. That's a
we
lot
never get
of
to see it, which is sad because we shoot it. But you know, they don't. By the time it gets to the editors, like they know they have to cut this and this and this. They never put together a scene, and the scenes that make the cut scenes on the DVD are the ones that were like that almost made it, but like not the ones that were just always going to be cut.
So, so what else? What else can we expect from season 3? Is there anything you can tease for us? Special?
Sure. Oh man, okay, so we've seen 9 episodes. We definitely get a lot more Legion of Superheroes.
Yes.
Yes.
We're gonna meet another member of their team in the next episode, and we might see them do some Legion ring fly action.
Yes,
which is
Legion
awesome.
ring flying action.
So that's cool.
Does Win get one?
You know, I think Wynn's probably gonna steal that rig at one point, and then he's gonna fly for like a second, be like, nope, nope, that's too scary. No, I don't know. Although I did pitch it, I was like, come on.
Of course he did.
He needs at least one moment where he's like, oh, all I have to do is put on a ring to fly. Okay. So we'll see a lot of that. We definitely are gonna see a lot more sort of. I mean, I can only really speak to my character teaming up to fight some bad guys, and then there's a big Win episode coming up, which is 14. Which probably won't be for a while because there's that big hiatus that they just threw in there. And Laurie Metcalf is playing my mom, which is going to be awesome.
Oh, wow.
And then, but that was already announced. I'm not spoiling anything. Sorry. I don't think I'm allowed. But yeah, so I haven't seen that script yet, so I don't really know what's happening. But yeah, there's definitely a lot. I think we're really gonna start getting back to character, like exploring a lot of the main characters. This season we've kind of explored a lot of stuff with Rain and like with other sort of side characters, and second half of the season I think we're going to focus back in on our core cast and check in with them and see how they're doing and kind of tell some cool stories to everybody.
Well, I think that's what the strength of the CW shows is that you do grow on the characters and you care about them, and it's really been awesome. And yeah, this season of Supergirl has been really amazing. Have there been anything that you've brought to the writers yourself that you maybe have pitched that's shown up on screen?
That's shown up on screen.
But you're pitching them all the time, is what you're saying.
Well, here's the thing: is like pretty much all of my jokes I've made up. Like probably like 70% of them. Like they give like a lot of the jokes, and sometimes they're really funny, and sometimes they're halfway there, and sometimes they're not there, and so or sometimes there's like nothing there, and you're like that moment deserves a joke, and you just pretty much all I do on set is just come up with different jokes every take, and sometimes it makes people angry, but whatever. You just gotta try to keep it fresh, and then it's most of it's gonna get cut anyways because they're gonna cut the jokes and keep the exposition when the show's running long. But that's what's kind of fun about it is just the sort of when you're doing TV, there's not a lot of room for invention. There's not a lot of room for collaboration. It's like you're on a really tight schedule. They've written the script like months before you ever see it for the first time. So all you can do to sort of contribute is what you're showing up on set to do that very day. Mm-hmm. And so, any sort of creative influence that I can put on it, I will do, and I don't care if you don't like it. I mean, I don't pitch a lot of storylines, but I definitely write a lot of jokes.
That's awesome. I think we could probably open it up for some questions.
Yeah,